bring the meeting to order, if we might. I'm not sure this is working. This will work better. I would like to have the meeting come to order, please. All right, good afternoon to you all. Welcome to a continuation. Welcome to a continuation of the meeting pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 23K, Section 17, that we began on December 4 of last year and continued at the end of that period to today. And today we want to finish up that meeting and close the hearing so that we can move on to the next phase, which will be the award of licenses. Today's meeting is limited in topic to a discussion of issues surrounding the agreement between the applicant, Springfield Gaming and Redevelopment LLC, and the town of Foxborough. That agreement was not in place at the time that we had the last hearing, and so we welcome comments about that today, but our agenda is limited to that. And before we begin the commentary on that, I'd ask Mr. Joseph Fernandez, who is here, I think, to come forward and say a few words of greeting.
Well, once again, is this on?
I think it is, yeah. Well, that works now, yeah.
Boss Andrea Susi, who is a member of the Board of Selectmen, who's here. I'd also like to recognize a colleague, Mark Fisher from North Attleboro, who spoke at the last meeting on December 4th. I'd also like to recognize my temporary colleague, Bob Butler from Foxborough, along with Selectman DeVellis and Attorney Geller from Foxborough. And if I could be so bold to request that any comments I have would be later on in the afternoon after other folks have spoken.
All right, certainly, Mr. Fernandez. Thank you very much. And welcome to the select people from both Plainville and Foxborough. I would call next on the agenda for the meeting this afternoon really is to hear from the applicant, get an update on the nature and content of the agreement that brings us here this afternoon, and then to hear from others who wish to be heard on the content of the agreement, and then come back to Mr. Fernandez for any closing remarks, and then close the hearing and move to the next stage, the next exciting stage of this process. So let me begin by asking for a commentary from the applicant.
Thank you, Commissioner McHugh, Commissioner Cameron, Commissioner Stebbins. The update with regards to the surrounding community agreement with Foxborough, since the last time we were here, we had a unanimous vote in favor, 5-0 from the selectmen in the town of Foxborough for the surrounding community agreement. The terms of that agreement were very similar to the surrounding community agreements with the three other surrounding communities that had been established previously. We're happy to answer any questions. We have supplied that surrounding community agreement to Mass Gaming Commission staff and are happy to answer any questions that you may have about that agreement.
Mr. Snowden, we've looked at the agreement, and I think it's worthwhile to pause for a minute and congratulate both the applicant and the town for coming to an agreement here. I know that there were difficult issues there, that both sides worked very, very hard to come to this agreement. And the agreement that the two sides can reach on their own is far better than any agreement that could be determined through arbitration or any other end-of-the-line process like that. So I recognize the hard work and the thoughtful work that went into this. We've looked at the agreement, and it reflects that hard work and careful thinking. And I think everybody in both towns, both Foxborough and others connected with this process should be very happy that you were able to do that. So thank you, Mr. Stone. Is there anything further? Anything?
If I could, we have one other project update since the last time we were together, and I'll keep this brief. We did, late last week, sign project labor agreements with the Brockton Builders and Carpenters Council, as well as the New England Regional Council of Carpenters, who are here this evening in the front row over there.
Welcome.
And so we are the only of the Category 2 applicants to get to that stage with a fully executed project labor agreement. So we wanted to at least provide you with that update. We have supplied John Ziemba and staff with copies of those project labor agreements. And this is our last formal FaceTime together. So we wanted to thank you for what has been a very open, fair, transparent, and completely professional process throughout. Your staff has been fantastic. I've mentioned this to you on numerous occasions. Mr. Ziemba, Catherine Blue, and the rest of the staff, responsive, professional, always getting us responses when we need them to keep the process moving along. And that's not always the case in all these jurisdictions, so you should be very proud of the staff that you have. They've done a fantastic job.
It's nice to hear. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Stone.
Thank you.
All right, and now we're at the stage where we're prepared to hear those who would like to speak either in favor of or in opposition to the agreement. That's the limitation on the topic, and we've asked that each speaker's presentation be limited to 5 minutes. And the first, I must say I'm having a little trouble reading the handwriting, but Mr. Shipmarker, do I have that? I'm sure I didn't get that right, but I did. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Would you just introduce yourself so we can get it for the record?
It's Glenn Shepherdson from Foxborough. And I'm here to support the Racino. I know there's been a lot of issues with Foxborough in the past with their history trying to get a casino. Not everybody agreed with the town's decision, and I hear them to say, welcome casino. That's
All
it.
right, sir. Good.
Thank you.
Very much. That's well under the 5 minutes. Thank you.
All right. Quick is good.
And Mr. Scott Maloney from Plainville?
Does this work? Mic check. Hey, how's everybody doing? By a round of applause, how y'all feeling? Okay, yeah, okay. Is this on?
It's on.
Mic check? Okay. All right, I just came by to say that I am in wholehearted favor of this, of the Racino, Plain Ridge. I've been in this town for a long time, and I've seen it grow. I've seen it start, from when there were corn stalks, just acres and acres of corn stalks right across the street from the neighborhood I grew up in, to a place that I can be proud of, a place that I can hope to one day raise a family. But first I need to find a wife. So, any single ladies? Anyone? All right.
Does
Yeah,
age
yeah.
matter?
What's that?
Does age matter?
No. All right, I just stopped by to say I am in support of this Racino. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Maloney. That is all the names that I have on the sign-up sheet. Is there, at the risk of, all right. Mr. Fernandez, let me bring it back to you then.
First, let me apologize to my colleague. I quickly, in my haste to identify everyone, called Bob Cutler. Let me apologize for that. I have read all 4 surrounding community agreements, and they're pretty much the same. Foxborough has a slight wrinkle in that it requires an escrow agreement, and I understand the motivation that one would have. I think any endeavor such as this, there's always some skepticism, and they sought to ensure that there would be funds, so they, unlike the 3 other communities, sought an escrow agreement. I think one thing that can be said throughout this entire process, there's skepticism on everyone's part. Clearly, the commission has gone to great lengths to vet, analyze, and examine all applicants, not only here in Plainville, but elsewhere. So as a result of that process, I don't know if there's anything I can say you haven't heard. I thought what might be helpful if I share with you a couple of anecdotes that I've gone through over the course of this last 2 years. When the law was passed and we knew that Plainridge was going to apply, we too hired our consultants, we too did our due diligence, but I thought it might be useful to reach out to a community that may be in the same situation as Plainville. Reached out to Bangor, Maine, didn't know anyone there, but knew that a horse track had gotten a slot and casino license in Maine, small community. Spoke to, at the time, they did not have a city manager. I spoke to the finance director, who spoke glowingly of the impacts that this new facility had on their community. They may or may not have mentioned it was Penn in those days, as you'll recall. ROA was the applicant. Penn meant very little to me, if anything. But I was struck by the fact that their experience to date had been very positive. She talked about the added revenue, the impact on the downtown, and some property that the city actually owned that was now being utilized by the facility. When Penn did come to light in Plainville, as you know, was the result of Tewksbury not voting to rezone a parcel that Penn was interested in. So here again, I reached out to the town manager in Tewksbury, Richard Montori, and spoke to him not of Penn, but what was the process? What was it that you thought was the reason folks chose not to rezone? And he told me of some of his some of the thoughts that he had as to why it didn't go forward. But when I asked about Penn, because at this point we were hoping that someone like Penn would now step in for Plainridge, or our way rather, I still remember the words that he said, "You are going to enjoy working with Penn." And I asked why, and he said, everything they said they would do, they've done. When you talk to them, you know that there's sincerity behind what they say. Here again, I adhere to the proposition that a pessimist is never disappointed, and I thought, well, perhaps this is just one more company looking for a location. I came to learn just recently that the good folks in Bangor apparently have had a great relationship with Penn. As you probably know, Penn, just last week, were awarded the Bangor Chamber of Commerce Business of the Year Award. I thought I would revisit my conversation with Bangor, and I spoke to the city manager this morning, a person who was not in place when I last spoke to them, but she again told me of the impact that the folks from Penn have had on the community, the revenue that has been generated, the way that the community, specifically with downtown property, has benefited from the presence of Penn in the facility. Interestingly, she told me that one of their, I think her words were nemesis neighbors, community neighbors, had now wanted to join with Bangor in a facility investment that is being promulgated by the presence of Penn. It's called Cross Insurance Center. It's an arena and a meeting facility. But when I asked her specifically about the impact of Penn in terms of, be it cannibalization of existing businesses or impact on existing businesses, particularly in light of the Chamber of Commerce Award. She told me of one case where there was a family restaurant across the street from the facility that has, her words, the business has boomed, that they are actually looking to buy additional property from the city to expand. That Nemesis community, as I said, has seen positive impacts in, and she didn't mention the community, but in their community as well, that by and large businesses across the region have benefited by the presence of Penn. And then my last parting comment, I'll be candid. When I first met the folks from Penn, they said all the right things. They appeared to have obviously an extensive background, but I said to her, they appeared a little too good to be true. And she laughed. And she said that was the exact comment our attorney, who had negotiated with Penn from the outset, shared with her at a meeting just last week, that they, to me, appeared to be too good to be true. Yet 10 years later, that's no longer a concern for them, it's a reality. So my hope is that what I thought was too good to be true is in fact the real article, that if in fact in the next 30 to 40 days when you award the license, if it's Penn, I hope they get the opportunity to make all their words become reality. Thank you for your presence, thank you for your consideration, and hopefully when we meet again, it will be smiles on my face anyway.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Fernandez, and thank all of your staff and those who have helped make these meetings run so smoothly, for the accommodations you provided to us, and for the other cooperation you and other town officials have shown throughout the process. It's made it quite easy.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I know that Chairman Crosby and Commissioner Zuniga, neither of whom could be here tonight, join me in those expressions of thanks. This is now the end of a long process, one more important step to go, but the end of a long hearing process. The Commission now has the opportunity to take under advisement and consider, as it has been, and articulate in public the fruits of our consideration of the applications that are pending. Our goal is to issue those, issue the license by the end of next month, and we are very grateful for everybody's help, assistance, and the thought, care, and energy that's gone into the applications. So this hearing now, and finally, is closed, and the next step will be, as I say, the Commissioners' deliberations after we close two more hearings, one in Raynham and the other in Leominster tomorrow night. Thank you all very much. The meeting is now adjourned.